page 9 that says which additional clauses they've included. And here are some that we're going to go through quickly. These are things that you might want to include. You might want to include in A, arbitration. Remember we talked about alternative dispute resolution, mediation, or arbitration? Well, it was in the pre-printed residential contract. It's not in this commercial contract. But if you want it in there, everybody initials these boxes and you got arbitration. In B, we talked about a 1031 exchange. Remember, it came up in leases of all things. It has nothing to do with leases, it has to do with sales. If somebody's doing a 1031 exchange deal here, this is, you fill out this clause and check the boxes. It might be the buyer who's going to escrow his money and do a 1031. It might be, it might be the seller who's going to escrow his money. It might be the buyer who has already sold something and has escrowed his money. And this is his replacement property that he's buying. So either party could be doing a 1031 here. C is the way we used to do deals. C says paragraph 7 is deleted. Paragraph 7 was that due diligence period where the buyer has the free look-see and says yea or nay. This is one where the seller guarantees the property is in good condition and says, buyer, if you find anything wrong, I'll fix it up to X% of the price. This is the way deals used to be done. So that in one here, the buyer inspects everything and the seller agrees to fix it on line 39 up to blank % of the purchase price. And in number 2, the buyer does an environmental audit and seller agrees to fix it. And in number 3, buyer gets a wood destroying organism, that means termites, report. And on line 60, the seller agrees to fix it up to blank % of the price. Therefore, the parties know there's going to be a deal because the buyer's going to get inspections and the seller's going to have to fix it, rather than the buyer's only option being to cancel. People just don't do that much anymore, and here's why. If you fill in 3%, if as a seller you let the buyer fill in 3%, I guarantee you dollars to donuts, the buyer's going to find 3% worth of crap wrong with your property. And you're going to pay 3%. So what do? You add 3% to the price as a cushion. So that was the game everybody was playing. Buyers were filling in 5%. Great, cool, okay, I'll add 5% to the price. And then inflated the prices on all the deals, even when nothing was wrong. Now we just say, do it or don't do it. But don't play these Mickey Mouse games of padding your inspections and padding your repair clauses. In D, we have seller representations. This is for commercial property where the seller is going to guarantee a rent roll. The seller guarantees 80 grand of income for a year and 30 grand of expenses and stuff like that. And this is, if the buyer is entering into a deal based upon the seller guaranteeing some financial data, this is where the seller guarantees it. Seller warranty just doesn't happen very often. Instead of as is, the seller guarantees a bunch of stuff. That's pretty rare in a commercial deal. Coastal construction control line, that's our rule all about, and that applies to every deal, whether it's in here or not. You can't build improvements on the beach closer than 8 feet based on a high water line and all that. Whether or not you put that, the coastal construction control line statute requires that all contracts on oceanfront property have that clause, so whether they have it or don't have it, the rules still apply. We talk about flood insurance in paragraph G and what flood insurance might cost. We're going to talk about insurance more heavily in another context in another chapter, and all the types of insurance we have in Florida. And at line 104, section 8, and at 116, section I. These are 2 other ways a deal might be financed. We talked about the clause on the first page says what the amount of financing is going to be. And the pre-printed paragraphs talked about on the next page, buyer's going to go get a new mortgage for that amount, whatever that amount is. But it may be that that amount's going to be reflected a different way. If the parties fill in section H, the seller is doing the financing. The seller is agreeing as part of the purchase price, I will accept from you, buyer, a note mortgage. That's called seller financing. We'll talk about that in the financing section. But the seller being the lender. Seller's taking paper, accepting time payments. Or in I, This used to be the way deals were done, then for many, many years they weren't done, and now it's slowly coming back again. If there are some existing mortgages on the property, and if the lender will allow the buyer to take over those mortgages and take over the payments, like you read about, you know, buy my car, just assume the payments. That's the deal here. If the existing mortgages are on the property, and the buyer's taking them over and making the payments, this talks about what those terms of those mortgages are and what they're going to be. J and K are good ways of doing a deal if you have a lawyer. Either the buyer or the seller can fill in here. Okay, I'm signing this contract, I'm agreeing to all this stuff, but my lawyer's got 5 days to approve it. And if my lawyer's not happy with what I did, I can kill it. It's a 5-day attorney review the contract later. Provision. They're good provisions. That's it for the form. That's a commercial contract. I may have 1 or 2 more words that I want to throw at you, and then I think we're done. One more time. Remember the big 3. Get the parties right, the names of the parties, get the description of the property right, and get the signature right. There are 2 websites that you go to get these things. We'll talk about them more fully when we get into the section on deeds. You want to learn the Broward County Property Appraisers for Broward website, bcpa.net. A lot of this information, you go to the property appraiser's website, you put in the street address of the property, you'll get a legal description of the property, you'll get the names of the owners. That's 2 or 3 right there. Legal description, who are the parties, who's going to sign to get signatures right. If it's an entity, you go to sunbiz.org. That's where every entity in Florida registers. It tells you who their president is, who their manager is, who their limited general partner is, who can sign. Punchline on all this. Why do we want to get these 3 things right? Because we want the court to be able to enforce our contract. And why do we want that? Because what's the point of doing all this crap if a court can't enforce it? Think about it. Why bother to go to all the trouble to do a contract if the court won't enforce it? That's the test on all this. So do these things right. If you do them right, somebody's going to be able to enforce the contract against you, but you're a good guy, you're going to do the right thing anyway. You want to be damn sure you can enforce the contract against the other guy. Okay, folks, you want to take a 2 or 3 minute break? And in 6 minutes, we're going to begin your midterm from 4:45 to 5:45. Apologies. I didn't circulate the roll. Would you all see to it that gets around?
How do you turn this off? Right here.